Hey Songbirds, it's Jackie and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. If you are looking for hope, health, and help, then you have come to the right place. Well, we are on our directions for singing as instructed by our beloved John Wesley. And if you haven't watched the first two videos, pause this one, go watch those two, and then come right back because they kind of work in sequence to one another and they let you know kind of what's going on. So you don't want to miss those. And we're going to dive right into the benefits of singing in your life, and especially congregational or choral singing. So number 3 is the week that we're on to get more people singing. Sing all. See that you join with the congregation as frequently as you can. Let not a slight degree of weakness or weariness hinder you. If it is a cross to you, take it up and you will find it a blessing. And I absolutely love that particular instruction for singing, because it is, as much as in detail we went with the how to sing last week, it's the why. This is the main purpose. And I could write 100 stories and fill 1,000 notebooks or make 1,000,000 videos of the benefits of singing. But I'm going to give you some of the top ones today that I think will get you a little motivated to join a choir very, very quickly. So as a life coach and a teacher, I'm always challenging my students to find their why. When they're completing tasks, when they are singing a song, or when they are setting goals, they have to have a strong enough why to continue to do what they set out to do and to complete it. If your why is not strong enough, you're not going to stick with it. And it's kind of like setting goals even in the health industry. And I'm going to be completely transparent here. I was meditating on this and trying to think of different things that would help to encourage you to sing, but I don't always feel like singing. I know it's a shocker, but some days, kind of like today, today's a little dreary outside. It may not look like it out here, but it's been raining since yesterday and it's going to rain the rest of the week. And we have choir rehearsal tonight and I'm a little bit tired. And sometimes we're not always going to feel like going to choir practice or going to church on Sundays sometimes. Maybe you've had a really busy week. Maybe things have been a little bit more chaotic or stressed filled, and maybe you've just learned some information that's been really hard to deal with and you've been feeling anxious or depressed. We're not always going to feel like it, but I tell you what, when I push through some of those feelings that are usually momentary, just for a moment, I always receive a blessing, just like John Wesley said. And I got to thinking it's a lot like when you join the gym or when you're trying to have some health goals and you don't always feel like working out. And personal trainers will tell you this all the time. You're not always going to feel like it. But when you lace up those shoes and you get to grinding, whether it's going for a walk or lifting weights, you always seem to feel better. And I don't think I've ever regretted pushing myself to go to a rehearsal, because I always receive that benefit, that blessing in the end of it. And I had a real life experience watching that this week actually, which is amazing that God keeps giving me these amazing examples. And I had a young lady come in and she looked like a cloud was just over her head, and she looked sad and her eyes were really dark and just seemed really not herself. And I asked her what was going on, and she said, I'm very tired and I've had a busy week and I just don't really feel like singing today. And I told her, that's okay. I get it. I've been there. And I said, but the most important thing that I encourage you to do is just do your best. And who knows, maybe we can turn some things around. And she trusted me. And wouldn't you know it, once we got past some of the initial exercises and warm-ups and some of the silly things that we do to get the giggles out of the way, then we got into the scripture and into the singing of the repertoire. And a lot of that has scripture tied into it. And it was almost like a dimmer switch was being turned on. And her face started to light up and her eyes started to sparkle a little bit. And she started to smile, and the people around her were feeling that energy. She stood up straighter, and at the end she offered to say the blessing. And she thanked God in her 3rd grade precious heart for the time that we had together and for the people around her. and for the gift of music. And that was one of the most powerful testimonies I've seen. And what was amazing is I've experienced that in my own life. And I could sit here and give you 100 other examples like that, but I think you felt it too. And I wish that I had all the words to say, but one of my favorite books describes it really, really well. And it's in this book, Sing. And it's by Keith and Kristen Getty, some of my favorite music makers for the Lord. And they're in a great mission to get more people making music for the kingdom. And I love it. It's a great book. You should check it out. But their words for why singing is important are much better than I think I could even sum up. I think I would just blather on. So I'm going to use their words today. So singing in a choir takes Sunday's truths into Monday. And that's so true. Sunday doesn't just stop and we get back into the week and we go back to our regular routines and live our lives in mundane and boring and we forget everything that happened on Sunday. No, once Monday comes, music becomes like the soundtrack to our week, to our life, really. And it helps to motivate us in times when we're just not feeling it. It encourages us to get up and to face whatever tasks we may have going on in the week. It helps us to finish that chore that we've just been kind of not wanting to do. It helps us to get through a meeting that we've been dreading. It encourages us to complete a project that we've been putting on the back burner for a while. Music is just so powerful, and it helps us also to remember scripture, and we've talked a lot about this in the previous videos. Singing in a choir also helps us to be sustained in every season of life. I'm reading through Ecclesiastes where it talks about all the seasons of life, and also Psalms. Many, many times singing and worship through music is written and talked about in the Bible. And I don't think that's any accident. But it shows us how to deal with the things that are going on in life. And it also helps to remind us of who God is and who we are through Him. It's a very powerful, powerful motivator. Singing in a choir has helped me when I'm feeling sad. It has been soothing to my weary soul. It's helped to lift me up when I have felt burdened. It's been a balm for the wounds that I carry. And it's also celebrated and rejoiced with me in seasons of great excitement and celebration. Music and singing in a choir is also a reminder of what God has done in your life. And I think about the song, Great is Thy Faithfulness. Morning by morning, new mercies I see. All I have needed, Thy hand has provided. Great is Thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me. And it is such a reminder, and we need that reminder on a continual basis. We forget so quickly. And I also think about how it keeps to the front of our minds eternity, where we're going, the future, and what we're doing in this lifetime to get to that future. And this world is dark sometimes, and it's felt really heavy. And I think about how music has reminded me in a way to keep Jesus in the front, to always keep my eyes focused on Him and what the prize is, and to keep running the race, no matter what comes across my path. And these were great examples for me, but if you're more scientific and you're looking for the real nitty-gritty of why there are benefits to singing, I'm gonna rapid fire some of these right here for you, and I think you're really gonna love them. So singing also improves cardio function and lung function. I thought that was really cool. Singing exercises the brain and body with improved posture, breathing, and muscle tension. I think about that little girl. She just was as straight as an arrow after singing through just a couple of verses in one of the songs that we sang. It was incredible how her whole body and demeanor changed. Music releases neurochemicals and endorphins, and you think about that natural high, and it lasts for a long time afterwards. At least that's what I've experienced. Music also is healthy for the immune system. It reduces stress. It also lowers your hormone of cortisol, which can make us overweight or feel a lot of stress. And it also boosts our immunoglobulin A antibodies. I did not know that. That was something new that I learned that I thought was so cool. And how great to have that boost, especially during cold and flu season. I think about how music really helps us cognitively as well. And most articles will talk about how music has an effect on people that are struggling with dementia. And I've seen it firsthand. It's kind of tucked in that part of the brain, and we've talked about it in previous videos, that not even a disease like that can touch. And I think about how music helps with happiness and our well-being because of the community and our social network that we have. It says here that it releases endorphins, dopamine, and serotonin. That is the trifecta. That's better than any antidepressant. I mean, I think about how many people are feeling lonely in this world right now and really needing that boost, that community, and that belonging that happens when you're singing in a community like choir. And the last thing that I'll mention is singing helps to share the gospel. It's the greatest form of evangelism that you can have. And as Christians, it's our greatest responsibility to be sure that we are sharing the gospel and the good news with people who are so hungry to hear it. And I think it's so important for us to remember what our greatest tasks are on this earth. And if you have the gift of singing and music, I encourage you to use that to glorify the Lord. And one more thing before I leave, I want to read from our Sing book, from the Kristen and Keith Getty book that I love so very much because they say it better than I could. And they say, we sing because we're created to, commanded to, and compelled to. And when we sing great truths, great things happen. Christ-filled, Spirit-prompted singing moves out in concentric circles, changing your own heart and mind, changing your family, changing your church, and of course, changing the world. And don't you want to be a part of something like that? I know I do. And I'll use the words of Mary McDonald, if that doesn't light a fire for you, then your wood is wet. So I hope that this was something that motivated you and inspired you to join the choir. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more, just go ahead and click that subscribe button. And that way it helps you to not miss a single episode. And we've got a lot more coming your way. And don't forget, no matter what side of the bed you woke up on this morning, you can always end your day on a high note. Bye, guys.